Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. But you walked in and said that you threw the first pitch out.
And I say that in every room that I walk into.
That's all right. I don't know this story. Will you tell me?
Yeah. I was 2 years ago, I was filming A League of Their Own in Pittsburgh, and which is a baseball TV show. And the Pirates contacted me to throw out the first pitch, which was like a lifelong dream.
Really?
Yeah.
You had that dream.
Well, this is a funny thing. I'm going to go like this. Is that scary? Okay. I moved the microphone. My dad threw out a first pitch in the 80s or 90s. And I remember thinking like, that's the coolest thing that anybody's dad has ever done.
See, this is why I love doing a podcast. Yeah. I learned things about you, even though we've
known
hung
each other
out
for years.
and worked together every day for 4 years and all of that.
I know.
Wow.
I know. We had this cool picture of my dad like mid-pitch, and I just remember, and he must have been nervous or something because he didn't invite us. He just did it. He like went after work one day.
Now, was this Pirates as well?
This was the Oakland A's.
Oakland A's. Oh my God. And why him? I understand you because of the TV show.
My dad had a music magazine, a Bay Area music magazine called BAM Magazine in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So he was like a music industry guy and also a big A's fan. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Anyway, it was really exciting, but I don't know. I mean, weird things like that would always happen to my dad. He was like, in that world without being like a Hollywood guy, you know? He
kind
was
of like Zelig would appear in the most amazing places.
Totally. He would, just sort of, he's like a really, likable, friendly, outgoing guy. People just liked him. And because he was in the music business and like the magazine business,
in the 70s.
In the 70s and the 80s, which was where that was the time.
That was it.
Yeah. He got to do cool things.
Now, let me go to you.
Go to me.
Back to the pitching part. You as, well, no, was it overhand or it was over?
It was, okay, let's see. Wait.
Historically, in that period, women's baseball.
It was overhand for pitch. Yeah, it was all overhand.
Yeah.
But what did I do? I did overhand. I'm trying, because
that's amazing.
Because I played softball in until through high school. And I pitched a little bit. And actually, Ted, I'm a pretty good pitcher. But there's a point when you're playing softball where you go from being like all you need to do to be a good pitcher is be accurate and get it across the plate and hit the, just be accurate.
Yeah.
And there's a point, I think, around like age 13 where all of a sudden girls are like
whipping it.
Yeah. And I wasn't really a whipping it type of pitcher. Yeah. So then I was like, I'll be at first base. So I think for the Pittsburgh Pirate pitch, I think it was overhand.
And how did you do?
Let me tell you. I did fine, but I still have like a little bit of shame because I think I was so afraid of throwing it. First of all, have you ever done this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I mean, thank God.
Yeah. It's like I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube of people doing this, and you can see they get either like overly confident or nervous, and they throw to a different continent. They throw so far the wrong way. And I was thinking like, oh, don't, just because I think, oh, I can do this. I know how to do this. I was I was shooting League of Their Own at the time. So we were, I want to say rehearsing, playing, practicing all the time. So I was really nervous about getting too excited and throwing it like the wrong direction. So I kind of wimped it a little bit. It was.
Did it go over the plate?
Yeah, I guess. It just wasn't that good. It was fine, but I am so competitive about sports. I really wanted to like blow everybody's mind.
Yeah.
And then when it just kind of went, beep, I wanted to like take the microphone and be like, but I could do better. Yeah. Hey, everybody, you want to see that again? Like you just want a second chance right away. But it was really fun, and my whole cast came and watched, and it was really a cute
they
day.
Came to Pittsburgh.
So we were all in Pittsburgh shooting. And so, it was just like a glorious little Sunday, and everybody came, and we had like a box, and everybody got a little drunk, and it was really fun. That was a really good memory.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Can I go back?
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep.
Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. My understanding is that you never watched any of the Cheers episodes when they aired live. Is that right?
No.
You didn't, did you?
Don't be mad at me. Yeah, not really. My older sister, Lainey.
When were you born?
1980.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was.
So when I started Cheers, you were 2.
Yeah. So what was I going to do? Be a little 2-year-old toddler watching goddamn
I don't know.
Sam
You
Malone?
could have found a way.
I guess
probably.
Right. Yeah. My grandma, Anita, and my older sister, Lainey, they would watch it. And to me, it was like a grown-up show.
It was, in a way, I guess, for
Lainey,
a 4-year-old.
Yeah. And Lainey was just a couple years older than me, but that was very in line with Lainey, like being a little adult and like watching TV with grandma. And I'm like, you don't understand these jokes. And I'm sure everyone you've ever met has told you which family member had the biggest crush on you, but my grandma Anita was really into you. Really into you
cool.
And George Michael.
And can we go back and just say how old your grandmother was when she was watching Cheers? 20?
Yeah, I think somewhere
30?
Maybe 30.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
25.
It was so over the years. It's so funny to watch. Hey, I think you're really good on Cheers. Then, hey, my older sister. Hey, my mom.
Yeah.
Oh, my
and
grandparents just love you.
I know.
Which is great.
I know.
You know.
Sure. I know. Yeah. No one wants to hear that. No, you love it.
Are you a little embarrassed to be sitting here talking with me with headphones on, knowing we're being recorded? It's a little weird.
Just because I love nothing more than talking to you. Like when I think of our 4 years on The Good Place, we had so many scenes where it was just the two of us.
I know.
And so in what, listeners, you may or may not know this, but there's so much downtime when you're shooting a show that if we had 3 scenes to shoot that day, we were probably sitting in our chairs next to each other for hours.
But also, when you're doing that, you are kind of keeping the mood of what you're about to do. So,
right.
I never, did we, I have trouble having deep conversations, knowing that in a second you're going to be pulled
we're ready
up
for you,
and,
totally.
Yeah, ready.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I do love, I just love talking to you a lot. But we've never really done headphones, microphone talk. So,
and here's the best part about doing a podcast.
Okay.
I know I love you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of kind of maybe surfacey things about you.
Yeah.
But I don't really know your history.
Right. Because why would I ever? Why would we ever? Yeah.
But you have this amazing music background.
I know.
I mean, your daddy was in that world,
I know. It was just, what a cool way to grow up. I mean, I almost can't think of a cooler way to grow up, unless like your dad was Walt Disney or something.
Mine, no.
No?
No, a Walt Disney character.
Yeah, but that would be cool too. It was just such a fun, getting to be a kid and going to concerts all the time and being in, but kind of being hidden. It wasn't like my dad was a rock star, my dad wasn't, I don't know, who am I even thinking of, Tom Petty or whatever. So we could kind of just be in, backstage or be in the background and observe everything. It just was cool. As an adult, I appreciated it when I was a kid, but really as an adult looking back, the fact that my parents really included my 3 siblings, the 4 of us, was really cool.
I love that your first concert was Huey Lewis in the News when you were 4. You at 4, you were so much more hip than I am.
I know, and I'm sure that was like, again, my older sister who's 2 years older, so she would have been 6. I'm sure that was them thinking she was old enough for a concert and me just being like, I gotta come too, Mom. I know all the songs.
And tell me, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
These are things I just found out about you.
There's a weird little Huey Lewis story that
good.
We saw him in concert a bunch. He was that was a really good Bay Area band, and they were really friendly with my parents, and I think my parents had sort of come up with them at the same time. So they have a lot of great Huey Lewis and the News stories. But at this one, so this was my first concert, and again, I'm like 4, so don't quote me on it as far as I don't fully remember this, but everybody around me did. That apparently Huey was not pleased with his performance and was kind of bummed in backstage. So after the show, there's like a green room and everybody's hanging out, but everybody's like, "Where's Huey? Where's Huey?" And everyone's like, "Oh, he's kind of taking a moment because he didn't love that show. And a few minutes later, he comes out. He comes like down the hallway, and I'm holding his hand, and he basically was like I cheered him up. Little 4-year-old D'Arcy had like gone in to wherever the hell he was.
But just coincidentally, or had you heard he was bummed?
I couldn't have known that, right? I couldn't have. I mean, that's what it seems like in my mind. That little like superhero kid was like, I'll cheer him up with the Good Ship Lollipop song or something like that. But I think I really just probably had no,
What a great story.
Yeah. And he was always really great to my family. Like it was such a fun thing to sort of check in with, getting to see somebody on stage. So, I mean, what a cool thing getting to see. I'm like still addicted to seeing concerts. I can't resist, even though parking sucks and tickets are expensive and like, there's a work day the next day. I like have something inside of me where I feel like I can't miss it. So I go to everything. And I think that has a lot to do with the way I grew up. It was like our almost like church or something. Like it just was, I don't know. I don't know what that was, but I still definitely have the.
God, that's so wonderful. I had the opposite. Yeah. I grew up listening to classical music that my mother would put on the, record player or South Pacific.
Yes.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And that was it. I had no pop culture.
Right. Yeah.
I was the guy who I went to Stanford and I was halfway to Monterey for this, I don't know, concert somebody told me about.
Okay.
Halfway there, I went, this is a long drive and I'm tired. I'm turning around.
Oh, no.
And I totally missed the Monterey Pop Festival.
The only
that's
person.
me.
The only person. I'm tired of this. It's not that long. 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, 2 hours.
10.
I also was at a freshman dorm party and Janis Joplin, who I didn't know, and probably not that many people did at that time because it was a freshman dorm party. And I guess, she came and sang, and I was this close as I am to you right now. And my reaction was, wow, she's going to fuck up her voice.
She's screaming.
The 60s went right over my head. Totally. It was wasted on me.
Yeah,
completely.
That's good. That's probably good. And that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
Stanford for basketball.
Yeah.
But sort of.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Stepped out on the court, looked around and went, oh, shoot. Turned around, walked out. Yeah. Very sad.
Yeah. Well, again, look where you are now.
It was my gauge, though, on what was worthwhile in life. Because of team sport, I think I grew up in the acting world loving ensemble.
Me
I really
too.
love ensemble.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many reasons why I'm not Tom Cruise, not just my love of ensemble, but I do truly love my lot in life. I love it.
I'm exactly the same. And I credit a lot of that to sports too, of just loving being on a team.
Yeah.
We're cool.
We're so cool, but we're tall, which is
we are so
why
tall.
we're so cool.
Exactly. I mean, not to get ahead of myself, but I really, I'm basically talking to the listener, not to you, because I can't look at you when I say stuff like this. But like listener, imagine getting cast in a show like The Good Place. I had never met Ted before. I loved him forever. And then not only is he incredibly nice and incredibly cool, but he this is a weird thing that I couldn't have even expected. He loves acting. You love acting. There's something that I honestly could cry right now and I don't want to, because sometimes you make me cry without even meaning to it.
Wow.
But it's such a gift to remember why we do this, because it's not, if you're going to spend your life acting, there's so much bad about it. There's so many ups and downs. There's so much and to remember the sort of childhood love of acting when you're on a big Hollywood set like The Good Place is such a gift. It's hard to even put into words. It was such a gift, and I feel like you reshaped me.
Now look at me and keep going. I want to see if you cry.
Okay.
Nah, you're not crying. Same back to you, by the way. You know what I love, and you are full of it? Enthusiasm. enthusiasm for life, enthusiasm for acting, and the willingness to say yes, are some of my favorite qualities in people. And you're chock full of that.
You're the same. It really, I cannot tell you how lucky I feel that we got to work together.
Me too.
Really.
Me too.
You changed my life.
Although I was a little thinking, ooh, poor D'Arcy Carden. I haven't met her yet, but she's playing this, I guess, a robot in The Good Place. I think she's going to get bored very quickly.
Yeah,
and it turns out to be one of the most iconic parts on television.
I love that. I love that so much.
Just so you know, I was dead set against Shelley Long playing Diane Chambers too. When I first met her, I thought, oh no,
this is not right.
No, right. And she was like through the roof, brilliant.
Oh yeah, wait, let's go back a little bit. So
Hey, I'm running this.
Okay, sure.
Let's go back a little.
Okay, great.
Go ahead. You first.
So you asked about Cheers, and while I didn't watch it as a kid.
As a 2-year-old.
Yeah, as a 2-year-old. Jason, my lovely husband, who you know and love.
I do.
We watched it during the pandemic.
You even took a photo and sent it to me of you guys sitting on your counter.
Yeah, it was great.
Eating dinner, watching Cheers.
You need it. Everybody, if you go back to 2020 March, whatever, you just needed something to get through the day. You needed something to look forward to. So we decided we didn't want to binge it. We wanted to watch one episode a night, which is not long. That's like 25 minutes. But we would make dinner and we would sit down and watch one episode. And we really, it was one of my favorite things that we would do. We would walk our dog and we would watch Cheers. Those were like the two things I would look forward to all day. What a time.
Yeah,
what a time.
What a time.
And it was great. And I would have to resist texting you every day like, holy shit, Ted, you're good. Like, you're real good.
You know what I did when I saw the pilot?
What?
I pulled Jimmy Burrows aside and started crying because I thought I was so bad.
Oh, my God.
And he looked at me for about 2 seconds, then started laughing and walked away in the opposite direction. Never addressed me, just started laughing and walked away.
Yeah. And when what a thing. We could talk about Cheers for hours. I know. But what a thing to be a part of. I mean, holy crap.
It dawned on me years after the fact, holy moly, I got to play Sam Malone.
Yeah. And basically, you did a play. It was like a play. I mean, it's one room, sometimes two, sometimes three.
Right.
But you were, that's the other thing, Jason and I would watch and marvel at it was like you guys were doing a 30-minute play, and
we felt like that too.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's incredible.
In the beginning, the first 3 or 4 years, no one messed up a line. It was just, we were doing a play. Don't mess up the line.
Yeah.
That changed.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's going to change.
Yeah.
But we just were in love with each character, and your chemistry with Shelley, and you, it was just, I also got a weird 80s crush on you, and I was like, well, that can't happen.
She's looking at me and crying again.
So
by the way, this is the right time to say my wife, Mary Steenburgen, loves you so much.
I love her so much.
And said to say hi.
I love her so much. Actually, for the rest of the podcast, let's just get our calendars out and figure out when we're going to have dinner.
We are.
Yeah.
So how did the little girl that pulled Huey Lewis out of his funk and also went backstage at Annie at age 6 and gave the lead actress a pat on the fanny, good job or something?
Maybe a slap more.
It was a slap?
Yeah, I think I really spanked her.
To me. Did you?
I saw Annie, and it was one of the first big plays I had ever seen, big musicals. And I tend to, still to this day, get really lost in whatever I'm watching. I really go to a different planet. And so when we were backstage meeting the cast, the wonderful, amazing actress who was playing Miss Hannigan was sort of bent over talking to a little kid. And I walked up behind her and I smacked her hard on the butt, kind of to be like, I'm an orphan too. Kind of I'm in this world with you. That poor woman. I'm sure she was get this kid the hell away from me, but she played along.
Or maybe it's her favorite story.
Yeah.
And then how did you go? All right. So get us to when you first start. Oh, I'm getting paid to act, or, oh, I want to go off and be funny. I mean, I read that you were into musical comedy and you explored that. But what happened when you went, oh, this is what I want to do, and I want to make people laugh, and I want to be that?
The laughing thing, it's funny because I went to, I started acting young. Like I was doing community theater and plays anywhere I could get my hands on it. That's not how that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, but it wasn't, I guess looking back, I was often getting cast in funny roles, but I wasn't really thinking that I was the funny actor.
Right.
And went to school for like Shakespeare and
where'd you do that?
Southern Oregon University in Ashland, Oregon.
Ashland.
Where they have the Shakespeare Festival. And it was really a heavily Shakespeare-y education.
Yes.
And then right after college, moved to New York with the intentions of doing theater. And I had done a lot of musical theater and was loving it and had a bunch of friends that lived in New York that were doing musical theater and that were on Broadway. And that really felt like that was what was going to be my path or my goal at least. And it's like, it's hard, as you know, and as every actor knows and as everybody knows, like it's just a hard career. And really the first year of living in New York, all the audition, nothing was going right. I was having like a great time, but nothing was happening for me at all. Like some creepy student film somewhere and like, some weird, nothing was happening for me. God, I wonder where the footage of that is.
Or how famous that director, that creepy kid is now.
I don't think he was very, I don't know. I just went somewhere. And then a friend took me to see a show at the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, and truly, like, in a life-changing way, watched their show, their like flagship show, Ass Cat, and signed up for class the next day.
And describe UCB.
It's an improv and it's a comedy theater and school.
Right.
Founded by Amy Poehler and three dudes that you also know.
How cool is that?
I know. Ian Roberts, Matt Besser, and Matt Walsh. And it was like, what a scene. It was so, I mean, I would say like every third actor that you love, maybe every fifth actor that you love in a comedy on TV came from UCB. It was like this amazing wealth of talent. And, but when I started there, it wasn't like that. It wasn't a sure path to TV at all. Right. It was just like a really cool comedy theater that I was hyper fixated on and wanted to kind of get to the top of. It was almost like my career goals shifted to just this theater.
And how did you how'd you feed yourself? Because that doesn't pay in the beginning, at least.
Yeah, it didn't pay at all. And I was a really good nanny. I was a waitress and I was a temp and I was a lot of things. But then when I started nannying, I was like, oh, but I love this. I love nannying. So I'm going to just quit all those other jobs. And instead of, oh God, I remember temping at all these offices and I had this like, this little black suit and all these little button-up shirts. And I would get a temp job at some hideous office and I would have to put on my suit and it was like putting on my death.
Your funeral outfit.
Yes, exactly. I just was like, it felt like a costume. It didn't look good. I just hated it. It wasn't me. And I would walk into these offices and do my little job. It just was like soul sucking completely. Yeah. So when I was nannying, I was like really happy. So that's how I.
And how long did you do that?
I did that for like 10 years.
While you were going in the evenings.
Exactly. So I would nanny during the day.
Yeah.
And then I would do shows and rehearsals at night. And UCB was so all consuming that we would I was a part of one sketch team that would start our tech rehearsal. So this would be once a month. We would start our technical rehearsal at midnight. We would start it at midnight after all the shows were done. That was the only time the theater was free or something. Although thinking back, I'm like, well, it was free during the day. Everybody's just asleep, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then I would wait. When I think of my
we would do your tech rehearsals. What do you mean?
Like my sketch group that I was in. Yeah. Some of which, let me just think real quick. Brandon Scott Jones, who was on our show, The Good Place.
Wonderful.
One of my best friends. A bunch of Chris Kelly, a writer who created the show The Other Two. Like a lot of really cool talent came from that theater. So we would, and I would be doing shows there every night. It was, when I think of my 10 or 11 years in New York, I think of somehow, and this is why you live in New York in your 20s, I think, I just never slept. I would sleep for like 5 hours. I'd come home. We lived in Brooklyn, so it was I would travel far to go nanny. I just never slept. And I would pack a gigantic backpack full of like nanny stuff into like rehearsal stuff, into what I was going to wear for the show that night, into a different pair of shoes and maybe an umbrella. And I just
jump on the subway. And off you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It was fun though. It was really fun.
Next, what happened next?
Then New York was great. But Jason,
this is pre-Jason?
This is during Jason.
So you met Jason at UCB?
I met him when I was doing UCB.
Right.
I met him when I was doing UCB.
And did he know what he wanted to do? Was he doing it?
We actually met doing a play. So he was an actor and I was an actor. We did a play in the Bay Area, just a random play, while he was living in LA and I was living in New York. And then I guess the fast forward version of that is when we started dating and moved to New York. And his day job was working in like a production house. So he was doing producer-y things.
Right.
And that's what he was falling in love with. And when he was a great actor. I loved acting with him. I miss acting with him. But I have this memory of him producing like a little web series that we were in. And on the days that he had to do the acting, he was like miserable. He loved producing, you know? And then he'd be like, oh shit, okay, what are my lines? Like, and then he kind of realized, oh, maybe I really like producing. And that's what he's been doing now for so long. But it was, I mean, we were struggling and figuring it out together. And it is, it's fun. How do I say this? Like there have been some wonderful, crazy, exciting, extravagant moments in our life in the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And it's very fun to look at him and be like, remember when we lived?
Yeah.
And the walk up of the top floor of some shitty little apartment. We had a bed that touched like all 4 walls, the tiniest little bed. It's nice to be able to look at him.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And if you came into it, I think for the right reasons, which is passion and I've got to, and whatever this process is, whatever this tribe is I want to join is everything.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't go away. I mean, don't you still feel that way about going to work?
Yes, totally. Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Especially when you're surrounded by people that feel that way too. Yeah.
Which you tend to do, I think. That's what you attract.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you attract that if that's what you love.
I think so. And I mean, I almost, I not to say I don't have time for it, because I love to act and, money's great. It's fun when they pay you. But I would rather not do it. I would rather not do it if it wasn't with people that feel that way. It's such a heartbreak,
It is. It is a heartbreak.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I'm really that pure.
I know. No, I think you are.
Okay.
You are. You surround yourself with. I know you think about that because we've talked about it. I know you think about that when picking things and saying yes to things.
I think God knows I'm not great with choice, the acting God.
Yeah.
Because I usually do what is next offered to me. And by and large, I've been blessed by amazing writing, which attracts really good directors, which attracts great casts. Yeah. And I've led a kind of magical life that way. I don't have a stack of scripts going, I'll do this one. I
kind of don't believe that, but I know you're telling the truth.
No, it's true. I'm sure stuff gets weeded out by my agent or my manager or whatever. But by and large, I'm blessed that way. I really am.
You don't have to say that any project, but do you, when you look back, do you have a movie or a show where that was offered to you that you didn't say yes to
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
that you didn't, that you're like, damn it.
I have no regrets. I mean, yes, I'm a joy junkie. Mm-hmm. So I train myself to be joyful, even if I have to fake it to make it, but I always do about whatever it is I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the this is terrible. This is going to sound like I'm making a comparison. I'm not.
Okay.
But one of the hardest jobs I ever did was CSI.
Yeah, I bet.
It's just really, really, really hard because you didn't have room to be funny.
Right.
Because if you're funny at the end of the scene, which is where you sometimes can improvise some funny stuff at the end of scenes, then the audience forgets about the perforated gallbladder that the guy died of. And so they went, no jokes at the end. No jokes at the end.
Oh, please. Yeah, and
it was hard.
Things you're memorizing are not, it's almost like a different language.
If I had to say vaginal tear or blood splatter, it was like, really. And they were really good at making prosthetic charred people.
Oh, wow.
To stare at while you're talking.
Right. How many years did you do that?
I did it 4. And the people were wonderful. Yeah. The cast is great. Yeah. The writers were sweet and kind. The world watched it.
Yeah.
But it was hard.
I bet. Yeah.
I need to be silly.
I know. You're really good at being
silly.
Give me silly. I know. You're really, really good at being silly.
All right, let's jump just around.
Okay.
Let's talk about The Good Place.
Okay. I love it.
I mean, to me, it's one of my favorite things I've ever been blessed to do.
And that's also so exciting to hear because it was my first thing, really.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I love, like, at my first meeting with Mike, I was like, I think this guy is incredible. Oh, what?
No, do that. Do how you got there.
Oh, yeah, how I got there. Okay, I'll do that really quick. I had moved to LA and I'd been here for a few years and was auditioning here and there, but nothing, just your regular shit. I wasn't getting anything. I had a teeny little part on a show called Broad City. I really wasn't, like, the TV was not happening for me.
Right.
And I did an audition. I got the audition and I was excited that I knew you were attached. I knew Kristen was attached and I knew it was Mike Schur and I knew some of the writers from Parks and Rec. And I remember thinking, like, this would be the dream. And of course I won't get it. Like, I don't get I don't get anything, but I would like to do a really good job in this audition and maybe make Mike Schur cast me in some little bit part in a different season or whatever. So I really worked on it so hard. That's the other thing I had. I mean, this is a side note, but I have one of my worst qualities is not committing fully to auditions because it's so sad when you don't get them. That it was like this weird little self-fulfilling, like not fully committing. So then my heart doesn't hurt when I don't get it.
I could have gotten it, but I just didn't prepare.
Yeah. And getting the good place after working so hard was like a really good lesson. I was like, oh, so it works when you put in there. Okay, cool. So.
And did you prepare for the role of Janet? Is that where you came in?
I did. But if you remember, the scripts weren't out and it was you and Kristen were basically the only people that knew anything about where the show was going. So the scripts were like dummy. They weren't real. It was some fake scene. I was like an operator at like a.
Was it a fast talking scene so they could test whether you could do Janet?
Yes. Like looking back on it, it was perfect. It was like I worked at a hotline for broken dolls and I needed to give the person advice on how to fix the doll. And different options and never getting flustered and never, it was a great scene. It would be fun to to put it out there somehow. But every audition I had, maybe 3 or 4 of them just went so well that I was sort of stunned afterwards. Like how could that have gone better? I'm not going to get this role, but like, what could I have done? That really worked. They laughed. I felt good. Like it just was so good and easy. And then, getting that call.
How long did you have to wait?
Oh, this is great. Well, very long. Maybe 5 years is what it felt like. I'm sure it was like a week, but it was just staring at my phone. I had some, I'm going to say it, shitty little writing job at some weird little, some pop culture show that I refused to even watch. I hated it so much, I was really not, my career was not happening. And I would just stare at my phone waiting for a call to let them know for them to let me know that I didn't get it.
Oh, so you went negative. You went dark.
Yeah, totally.
Oh.
Yes, completely. I bet I'm like, what was the percentage of light? I bet there was like a
sliver.
Yes, a sliver of maybe, or even just a good compliment. It's not going to be you, but they actually loved you. And he knows your name now. It's something to get me by.
Yeah.
But okay, so a week or two of waiting, and when we would be at home, I was trying to distract myself. So Jason said, "Why don't we watch this season of Fargo? Let's just watch TV. Let's just watch TV. So we started watching Fargo, and who comes on the damn screen with this handsome man in front of me, Ted Danson, playing a character that I'd never seen you play.
She's crying again.
Tears are just streaming. You were so good and so charming and so heartbreaking. And all I was thinking was like, I want to work with this guy. This is not doing what it should be doing, which is distracting me. I'm watching this
No,
guy.
that was positive though. That was opening the crack of
I guess
positive,
so.
open a little more.
I guess you're right. Yeah. And then, truly watched an episode of Fargo, closed the computer, got settled into bed, and then got a call at like 11 p.m. from
Really?
Yes.
11.
Yeah. I think it was from an agent, and I don't think they were like supposed to tell me yet. I think it was supposed to be a morning call.
Yeah.
But they were like they were giving me sort of vague. It wasn't like it wasn't like this is 100%, but they were like, be ready tomorrow. And I'm like, what does this mean? And we had champagne and we screamed, and
how wonderful.
It was great. Two of our best friends lived upstairs, Paul and Lucia, who created the show Hacks. But they they also were same as us, just kind of like struggling, and
right.
And we knocked on their door at like 11 p.m. and they popped champagne, and
how sweet.
It was great. We were all in our pajamas and screaming, and it was really good.
Yeah. You have generous friends, because sometimes it's.
Yes, totally. Oh, you got that?
Oh, good.
Huh. Good for you. Wow. Surprised, but good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did fine. Yeah. And then it was quick. I was the last person to be cast. So then I probably met you and the rest of the cast the next, I don't know, 2-3 days later.
And did a table read, and we were off. I was terrified.
Were you?
Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, Kristen Bell somehow adopted me in her brain and was so sweet and supportive. And I had met with Mike, who was, very complimentary and very sweet and very real. And then I listened to him pitch the idea to me for an hour. And he's one of the brightest people. And he has a lot of people are bright, but his brain is also encyclopedic.
He's extra.
Yeah. So when he pitches a story, there's no sort of or kind of.
Yes.
You could be flipping the page, looking at it and going, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't miss any details.
Every second of something.
Yeah.
And I just listened quietly for about an hour. And then my manager and I were listening. And we both kind of looked at each other. It was like, all right, I have no idea what this is, but I want in.
Let me in, please.
I want in.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how Michael, my character, the architect, could be funny when you didn't know his secret.
Right.
Because usually audiences, there's a triangle, right? I'm talking to you, D'Arcy, but the audience knows that yada, yada.
Totally.
And they laugh because I'm misleading you, or I'm this, or I'm that. Right. But there was no triangle.
Right. So
including my own cast, not my cast. I hate that.
No,
yuck, cut that. Yuck.
No, don't cut it. They're cutting it as we speak.
There's the truth. All right, I'm going to talk about myself in third. Ted made a mistake.
And
Ted is sorry.
Really upset. No, that was the other thing. If for people that don't know, the 4 other cast members other than Kristen and Ted, Manny, Will, Jamila, and I, did not know what the season looked like after about episode 3. And I almost don't want to. I'm sure people know. Whatever. It's been years. Whatever. Yeah. We didn't know the big twist.
Yeah.
So not only did the audience not know, and not only did our characters not know, but we, your fellow actors, didn't know. What a fucking insane thing that was.
Or directors who would come and direct.
And give you advice.
You'd feel so rude because they'd come and say, I think you should play this.
Right.
And I'd slowly
look at one of the writers.
Surreptitiously look at one of the writers and go, how do we deal with this?
Who's going to tell them? Yeah, totally. That was the most amazing. I mean, God, what an amazing thing to be a part of something that a twist that really worked, really twisted.
The twist worked. I think people went online and talked about it. And then at the same time, Netflix started airing the first season.
Yeah.
It was this convergence of luck.
It was.
That kind of blasted us out there.
It really blasted us. What a thing. It felt like I remember there was like, it must have been, I think it was like, again, in my mind, it was like the next day after Netflix released it, but of course it wasn't. Let's say the next week where I was like, oh, I think everyone in the world watched it. I just was, I went from,
felt that way.
Yeah, I feel like every person I would run into on the street would say, I watched the show.
What was that like for you? Because you went from people not knowing you very much, right? To getting blasted with people loving it, knowing you, and really appreciating you. What was that like?
It was,
because it's not always easy.
Yeah, it was not. It may have been the easiest version of it because it was so pleasant.
Yeah,
I think like the Janet character is such a pleasant, sort of like lovable character that I do think that people tend to, if I had played like some evil villain or I don't know, I'm a jerk or something, I think I might have received a different energy, but it just, people were nice about it. And I tended to feel like people that watched that show were like nice and smart. You know what I mean? It was like a nice, smart group of people that would watch it. So they always seemed to be pretty nice.
Although I have a lot of people show up who I wouldn't have pegged as necessarily smart, who, with a bow tie and a sweater, but hard hats and this and that. People who love it.
Yeah.
And then kids.
That was something that I could have never guessed or expected, is just the amount of kids.
Yeah. Before The Good Place, I had to spend 20 minutes describing to people what Cheers was, that it was a show in the latter half of the
different century.
20th century. And then kids loved it.
And because Michael had the bow tie and Janet had the little purple suit, we were almost like, I always think
we were Halloween characters.
Exactly.
We were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's almost like a Mickey Mouse quality.
Yeah.
Like little kids just sort of, it was.
Yeah. Hey, let me just say,
what?
You're spectacular in The Good Place.
You are.
You really, truly are. And I remember the day that you were so popular and so good, and the writers, or at least that's how they describe it, said we have to give her something spectacular to do. And they did the episode where you were playing all the different characters. We all, to hide from the Bad Place folks, went into your, what do you call it?
Void. Janet's void, yeah.
You have to watch it, folks.
Because
it sounds a little weird. I know.
It's impossible to explain.
But you had to D'Arcy had to play all the different characters, all of us, Kristen, Ted, all of us. And you were alone in a room that was pure white walls, white ceiling. It was hard to even stand in the room
without getting dizzy.
I remember turning to you once, the beginning of you shooting that whole week by yourself, going, this is fucked up.
Ted, it's so funny that you have that memory. Wait, were you about to say something else?
Yeah, I can't even remember my name when I step into that sound stage.
You know what?
Is so like...
You know what's cool? That conversation got me through the entire episode, because that was day one. And Ted is basically in the first minute or two of this episode, and then I'm in this white room by myself for the rest of the time. So getting to do a scene with you first, and then feeling crazy, and then hearing you, not just my friend and fellow actor, but Ted Danson, who's done a million things and who's who I love and respect as an actor, saying, "Hey, this is fucked. This is going to be hard." And you said, you're going to forget basically your objective. Like, you're going to forget what you have to remember what you're doing.
Did I give you advice?
You gave me, no, but you give really good advice. You give advice that because you don't give advice.
Not only are you not crying right now, it's just not true.
No. I talk about it all the time.
It's not true.
No, you do.
People take my advice and do the opposite.
No,
it's good that way. It works.
Sir, I listen to your advice and I take it, because you're not like, come sit down, let me tell you everything I know. You're just talking to me like my friend. You really, because being in that white room by myself, my instinct would have been to like get through the lines and it's so technical. It's almost like it's not even acting. It's more technical than emotional. Yes. But the scenes were emotional.
Yeah.
And so you just said, remember what these scenes are about and remember who you're talking to. And I swear to God, that got me through the whole week.
Wow.
You gave me other advice on other things that I took And
didn't work out as well.
It did work out.
Oh, good.
After when we were sort of winding down, you and I were like having coffee at Crafty, and Crafty is where we have snacks. And you were sort of like, hey, after whatever you do next, make it be as far away from Janet as possible, which was such good advice, because I think
you sure you don't just think of these things?
No,
and
I
then
don't. I also don't have a very good memory. You've really made an impact, sir.
Good. I'm glad.
Because a lot of the things that were coming my way around the time of Good Place being done were Janet-y type characters, peppy and perky and happy, and I think it would have been and literally like robotic. I mean, people don't have much of an imagination, you know what I mean?
She does robot really well.
Yeah, you got to cast her.
And she prefers acting by herself in white rooms. Let's do it.
Easy. You don't have to pay her more either. Anyway, so the next role I took was League of Their Own, and she was very, 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 Greta Gill was as different from Janet as I could get, and I really credit you so much with helping me figure that out. Thanks.
You're welcome. The Good Place.
Yeah.
The Good Place, which is truly, truly about ethics and what it means to lead a purposeful life. Mm-hmm. Would you add anything to like the headline of the show? That's one of the things I took away of,
for sure,
and looked at myself.
Yeah.
Which is leading a purposeful life. Is this me being purposeful in my living? Let me ask you. How's your purposeful life going? For real?
Yeah.
And purposeful doesn't mean you go to the UN and save the world.
Right.
It means, are you doing something that, what? You describe it.
Well, I feel like purposeful is, there's always like more to do. So like when you say, how's your purposeful life? My first instinct is small, which is maybe okay. There's so much good to do. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing good in a very small way, or with a very small group, or like my good could be so much bigger. And maybe that's everything. Maybe that's, even if I was going to the UN and all that, like maybe I could still be doing more and bigger. But I think that's an area that I'd like to be bigger. I'd like for my purposeful small life to grow. And
yeah, I hear you. And when I want to beat up on myself, that's kind of how I think.
Yeah.
I'm not doing enough and da-da-da-da. Right. But I do also believe that, which is what we talked about in The Good Place too. I mean, it's not like The Good Place invented this.
Right.
This is probably Ethics 101 or something. But
right.
You don't know the ripple effects. Mm-hmm. You don't know the ripple effects of you just walking in the room today,
right,
or down the street or whatever. You have no idea whether you looked and smiled at somebody, right, whether or not that changes the ripples. And so I think it's about just being conscious to try to do a little bit better.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I totally believe in that. And I do think that is one of the things that this show made me sort of kind of put into words and into my brain, which is just like when faced with the option of doing good or doing bad, doing good. And when you can do a little bit better, do a little bit better.
Here's what I have trouble with. There are a lot of things where it's easy to be a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that includes caring for, liking, and listening to people who are stupid as batshit, as far as I'm concerned, which right away knocks me out of the conversation of a purposeful life.
Right.
I have, you're forced to discover how judgmental you are.
I know.
And this ties into The Good Place, I think, because if you're going to be ethical, if you're going to be purposeful, that includes everything in the world. Right. You have to try to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things of failure when it comes to The Good Place and ethics was the celebrity tip. You're in a cafe, and they're making you a coffee, and there's a tip jar. Do I quietly put my celebrity tip, which is large, while their back is to me making the coffee? No. Ted, wait until they see me drop the 10, 20, whatever in there. And,
This one is really...
That's tough.
I know. I guess... Okay, because I've really thought about this one. And especially when we were on The Good Place, we kind of played so many games like this where we would come up with these real world scenarios and what would you do and what is the right thing to do. But the thing is, okay, so yes, I'm the same way where I'm like, I want them to see me put the tip in because that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But then you go, okay, so the right thing to do is actually, put the 10 in, the 20, the whatever, the 100. I don't know what kind of money you have. The 50 cents. And when their back is turned so that it's really for the good of giving them the thing without any credit. But then here's where I'll go a step further. Maybe, okay, wait, let me just think. How can I put this into words? If they see you do it, maybe there's like a moment between the two. No. I think any way that I could explain this is just to help the celebrity tipper.
Yeah. No, no way around it.
But maybe,
it's a karmic wash.
Oh, yeah.
You gave somebody
totally
money
right.
They probably need or certainly deserve.
Okay, what about if they go, what about if they say, hey, later they're telling their spouse at dinner, well, guess who came into the coffee shop today? Ted Danson. Remember him from your favorite show, The Good Place? And guess what? He gave me a huge tip. Doesn't that make you feel good about someone like him would actually care enough to put in, like it's bringing good into the world in a bigger way. Like they're, no, okay.
No.
Yeah. As I'm saying it, I know I'm wrong.
And the person's husband is probably going, asshole. Like, what a dipshit.
I know. I never liked that guy.
You never.
No, I know.
Okay. I'm bouncing now.
Here we go.
All right. So I saw you last because we had lunch in New York and you had to then run off and go do your Broadway play.
Yeah.
That evening. How was that?
It was really cool. Oh my God. Wait, this is, okay, this is another little ethics thing I'm just going to tell this story. Feel free to cut it. I was doing this Broadway play and it was just a short little run.
Called?
The Thanksgiving play.
Yep.
It was like a 10-week run and I got this sweet little video from Ted on this app called Marco Polo that we love, where you make little videos and send them. And he was in a Broadway house. He was about to see a play and he turned the camera on himself with a big smile and he showed the playbill where there was an article about me and a picture of me. And he was like, look, it's you. I'm so proud of you. Okay. And I thought it was so sweet. And then 2 hours later, after he's done with the play, I get another one from him that was like, I'm such a piece of shit. I just sent you a video showing you that I'm in New York seeing a Broadway play and not seeing yours.
And it's a good thing I did because you was thinking it. I do believe.
No.
Yes.
No.
She's not crying.
No,
so
I'm not crying.
The truth is.
And then you said, let's go to breakfast, tomorrow. So we got to spend good time. And that's actually what I said. I said, I don't care if you see my play. I just want to sit and hang out with you. And then
what was it like, the play?
Yeah. It was scary. I hadn't done a play in like over a decade.
A lot of lines?
So many lines, 4 actors split, quarter, right. I don't know, down the middle, 4 ways. A month of rehearsal. Okay.
Was that enough? Did you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that like really messed with me that I bet would have messed with you too. In rehearsals, okay, so we were doing a comedy. It was a really funny show. If I said something in a rehearsal that got a laugh from the producers and the director, it immediately sent me into a panic because I knew I would have 100 more I'd have to do this 100 more times just in rehearsal alone. And because we do comedy, the whole thing about comedy is like keeping it fresh and changing it up and surprising.
Yourself.
Right. And you do that with when it's for the camera, you can do 5, 6, 7 takes and they can be a little bit different each time. And maybe you'll get the, camera guy to sort of chuckle behind the camera. But the idea that like it worked in this moment and that means I'm going to have to do it exactly like that.
Yeah.
It really
deadening.
Yeah. It was I panicked. I really like had a really hard time with it. I had to talk to the cast and the director and I said like, is it cool with you guys if something works, can I just not do it again until we open?
Yeah.
To which they were like, no, you have to do it. That's not how this works. We need to all know the rhythm. And, so that was something that was like a very big challenge for me that ended up being a blessing and really fun and a cool way to sort of flex another comedy muscle of like, timing and details.
Right. I have no right to talk about plays. It's been so long that I've been on stage, but there's such a different rhythm. And when you're in front of a camera, you can go for it and discover, and no, that didn't work again. I keep doing it. But the rhythm kind of a play is finally, oh, you got it, you understand it. Then there's a hill down where everything sucks. And then hopefully it comes up and opening night, bam,
totally.
You're through the roof, great.
Yeah.
But it's a different, you have to go through what you just described of, oh, this is deadening.
Yes. And when you're in that downslope, like it feels like there's nothing you can do. I mean, and that's for the entire sort of like rehearsal and play process, but just on a nightly basis, once the show was up and running, if I noticed, especially because this was like a comedy, like a lot of jokes, a lot of laughing. If someone in the audience sneezed on the end of a funny line, I knew it wouldn't get you get that into it where it's like, okay, someone coughed right before he said the funny part, so they're not going to hear that. So that means the next thing,
and do this and do that,
but which was kind of fun, actually.
Because then you're engaged. Because when you're rehearsing, you don't have an audience except those
few
people who are desperately hoping that their words are funny and all of that stuff. But the audience is just guiding you and yanking you around and doing new things to you. So that does make it a little bit more spontaneous for you,
for sure. And that was the way to keep it fresh and I had a great time. And my biggest takeaway from it was just like, I can't wait to do it again.
Wow.
I definitely,
well done.
I liked it. I really liked it. I loved it. It just took me back to, real childhood. Like doing plays with friends when you're a kid is the most fun thing I could possibly imagine. And that wasn't so different from this,
Yeah. I think I told you my story, which I won't bother, but I got so scared. No, all right. I was at the Atlantic Theater. It's a good one. Atlantic Theater, which is this amazing theater in New York that feeds a lot of things into Broadway. Everything they do kind of ends up there. And they're friends of ours, Neil Pepe and Mary McCann, and they're just great people. And so they asked all the company members, but also me, I'm not a company member, to do this celebration, 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of all the playwrights. It was the 25th anniversary. So they got 25 playwrights that they had been working with and said, write anything, 20 minutes long. Doesn't matter. You can write an opera, you can write a monologue, you can write a scene, it doesn't matter. And then all these actors would come in and they would do 5 of these a night for a week, and then they'd switch out to a new group of playwrights and do 5 of them every night. And you got about 1 day of rehearsal with Neil Pepe, the artistic director, and then off you went. And I saw somebody the week before me. When I flew into New York, I went to see that week's plays. And I saw somebody go up on a line, and I thought, oh, well, somebody will whisper the line very surreptitiously from the wings. No, it came from the lighting booth over a microphone, the line you just missed, and so I thought, oh, I better think of something clever to say if I go up. And I had a monologue. It was a 20-minute monologue. And I so psyched myself. It was a wonderful monologue about a man who's talking to the audience and tries to remember what horrible thing he's trying to remember, and he can't. And he goes through his day in front of the audience and then realizes that when he gets home, his wife says, can you take this down to the basement? And as he goes down to the basement, he realizes that a literal hell with stalactites and stalagmites and hell is in his basement.
Great.
The real hell. And then he
couldn't remember
horrified and he goes back out to walk the dog. And by the time he comes back in, he's forgotten. So every day is this cycle.
Jeez.
Right. So 20 seconds into my little opening night. Yeah. I went totally blank, and it was like sticking my finger 20 seconds in, sink my finger into a light socket, and my whole body went zzz, and my heart raced, my in that split second, it's like, fuck, I can't believe that happened. Oh my God, my daughter's in the audience. Do I cry? No, don't cry. I could get up and leave. Oh shit, I can't believe this. God. And then I remember to ask D'Arcy for the line. So I say, D'Arcy.
Really? The person's name is? Oh, yeah.
D'Arcy, what happens next?
Great. That's so charming.
Like I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Well, D'Arcy, the stage manager, has just sat down behind the desk with her cup of coffee, and 20 seconds in, the clown says, "What's my line?"
I don't know yet.
Spills her coffee, thumbs through to find out, and she gives me the line that I had just said before I forgot
Got that one, hun.
Yeah. I said, actually, it's the next line.
I mean, I would be so charmed.
Woo!
So then, she gives you the line.
She gives me the line, and I'm off and running.
Okay.
And I have so much adrenaline, so much anger, so much just craziness in my body that it probably was a brilliant performance, because this guy discovers he has hell in his basement. So he has a right to be upset. Yeah. My poor daughter had to walk me around the block with two liters of water
to just
flush
calm
the
your body
adrenaline
down. Yeah, totally. That's not natural.
I was just vibrating.
Yeah.
The next day, Neil Pepe, the director, said, "Hey, why don't you come in half hour early and we'll just go over the lines."
Over it. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, hearing the way you handled it, it is the perfect way. That is puts the audience at ease.
Sure.
Because I've been on the stage screwing up a line, and I've been in the audience screwing up a line, and that is as much stress for the audience as it is for the person on stage, right? When it's just you can tell.
Yeah.
So
car wreck.
Yeah. And when you hey, D'Arcy, what's the line? That's so charming. But
it was D'Arcy, by the way.
That's so weird.
I know.
So when you met me, were you like, I have a bad connotation?
No, I just made that up. Okay. It was Marcy. It was Marcy.
Oh, okay. Similar.
You can understand my confusion. This is why I'll never do theater again.
I had a moment on stage for this play where there was it was a really clippy comedy, right? We were just it was the rhythm was there, and we weren't screwing up lines a lot. But on this one night, there was a pretty big dead pause, and my brain went, "Ooh, who screwed up?" And I looked around. I was what did we just say? What's coming up next? And my thought was, how can I help this person get out of this situation? And then I see all three sets of eyes staring at me. I realized it was my line. It was my line. Somehow I had just gotten off. And then I said it, and then it was fine, and we were off and moving. But it is such a weird, and also, there's also, so a little bit after that, there's a moment where I'm staring at the back of the stage, at the, upstage, and the only thing running through my mind was, you are on Broadway. Yeah. You just made that mistake. This isn't a this is not some little nothing, that you are on Broadway, and you fool, you just made that mistake. But it was okay. And then I never did it again. Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Give me a quote.
Actually, now that you say that, I didn't really, just do your people, your reps do this, where you get an email that kind of have pull quotes about you. Do you get that? If there's a review and it's this was positive, they said blah, blah, blah. So now that I think about, here's something that I do. This is weird, and I'm sure this is my ADHD brain in full effect. And I did this for The Good Place too. When we would get reviews, I would open them. Okay, so imagine my little laptop. Yeah. I'd open them, but I wouldn't read them, but they'd be a tab. So they would be I would have the review on my laptop ready to read, but I wouldn't read it for months. Read it for months.
Smart.
I don't even know why. I think I can handle it, but I just couldn't do it. And so I remember having reviews of that Janet's episode up for a year before I got to them. Yeah. So anyway, they were, it was really, I felt very embraced and welcomed. And
wonderful.
Yeah, it was, I felt really good. It was really, really nice. It was nice. I kind of couldn't quite believe it.
Can I tell you some of my reviews?
Yeah.
It was after Cheers. Okay. It was Becker. And to some degree, I think it's a truism that after something massively successful, there are some folks out there, especially if the press loved you in the, Cheers, that were kind of laying in wait.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that that's the case.
Yeah.
But Mary and I, It was premiere night, but Mary and I were in New York because I had just done all the press, all these shows for 2 days. And then we were in the car being driven to the airport to fly back to LA for opening night party and watch the show.
Fun.
And I watch Mary. I'm happy. I'm content. I've done my job. And why is Mary slowly moving this stack of newspapers onto the floor? I went, okay.
Yeah.
Let me read them. There, she stutters for a minute and then hands them to me. Here was my favorite headline. Too tepid Ted. And then the sentence went on. But too tepid Ted stuck in my memory.
Yeah.
The other one was, Mr. Thinks He's So Wonderful Danson.
No.
Yeah. These people didn't like me as much as you do.
Oh, no.
But it was just, it's hammered in my brain. I will never forget Too Tepid Ted.
No, the other one is worse for me. Thinks He's Wonderful.
Yeah.
My mom basically said that to me one time.
About me?
No, not about you. She thinks you're great. Something similar, like, okay, wait, what was the line again? It was
Mr.
Thinks He's So Wonderful.
Yeah, Thinks He's So Wonderful Dancer.
Yeah, I just remember, I don't even remember what it was having to do with, but it was, your mom can say whatever. She can call you a brat. Moms can get you. But there was something about, you're not as cute as you think you are. That really stuck with me. It might have been the meanest thing she's ever said to me, but also good to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said this on the show before, but my mother, when asked how she felt about my success on Cheers in the early days, she said, well, I'm happy for him, of course. But it's a little foreign to me because I come from a long line of people who believe in the nobility of quiet failure.
Wow.
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 That'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
That's great. That's a great quote.
Yeah, that's the best.
All right, let me ask you another question, and then we're about at the hour mark. But first off, I adore you.
The feeling is so
really,
mutual.
we have you on camera, by the way. So when you were professing your love with tears in your eyes, we do have that, and
you might see. I do think I got a little tear in my right eye.
Yeah.
On the corner.
The downstage eye.
Yeah. The camera's there, right? No, I really, But
I want to ask you one more. I want to know about
my cosmic heart.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in general, I feel very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think that's when I think about my heart, I think I can be a little boo-hooey, but then if I zoom out, it's very easy for me to see that I am so unbelievably lucky and grateful, and I get to it's like as simple as like live my dreams. I got think of that, me telling you that I got to watch you on Fargo, and all I could think of was, I want to work with that guy. I just want to work with him. He's so good. I just want to be on a set with him and get to work with him. And I've gotten to have that experience with not just you. But I got to tell you, Ted, and I've said this before and other people have said this too, you're the best actor I've ever worked with. In scenes together, you and me, one-on-one.
Yeah,
no,
but
don't
your
look at
resume is very short.
No, I've worked with really good people. That's true though. But no, you are the best scene partner. No, don't go towards the microphone. You are the most connected and committed and surprising and inspiring actor I have ever worked with. And when I got to be in scenes with you one-on-one, I'm not kidding. When I got to be in scenes with you one-on-one, you made me a better actor in real time. For real. You alone.
This is tough.
Okay.
Just so you know, I have complete editorial.
But at least I know you heard it.
So I'm keeping this in.
Great.
I am definitely keeping this in.
You really are. You're so special.
Yeah, you're deflecting. But okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I adore you too. Here's something about you that wherever I go, especially in our world of actors and writers and directors and stuff, people, I'm not looking at you either, but I'm not crying. But it's hard to look at people directly.
I know it is, huh?
Sorry. But the ripple effect you have of what you put out in the world, people love you. People are ferociously care about their relationship with you and with Jason. You know, you mean a lot to a lot of people, and
that's so nice.
You know, are out there working in our world.
Oh, that's so
and
nice.
That's something that. Hey, sorry. I didn't interrupt you.
I'll move.
That's something that is a ripple effect that is a purposeful part of your life. You care about people, you care about your friends, you're fiercely loyal, and that does have a ripple effect. So
cool. I love that. Thank you so much. I'll take
really, really enjoy sitting here talking to you.
I love you. Yeah.
Marcy or D'Arcy? No,
well,
D'Arcy.
I'm D'Arcy.
D'Arcy.
Yeah. There are Marcys out there for sure. And that one.
This is Too Tepid Ted signing off.
Ted. I love you so much. I just couldn't love you more. I fucking love you. Woo! Let's have dinner.
Let's go out on that.
Yeah.